What up, guys? How's it going? Man, what a crappy way to end a Monday night. Just Denver, man. I mean, whenever you pick the Denver Broncos, they're going to burn your ass. And, Nathaniel Hackett, like for him to not go for it on that 4th and 5, and they really surrendered an opportunity to win in Seattle. They had the better team. All right, second half, they had the better team. They held Seattle's offense to nothing in the second half. Russell Wilson, though, in this offensive line is in trouble. I mean, Garrett Bowles can't really block up front. Seattle's defensive line played really, really well in this game, and so did their linebackers. So they clearly had a plan. They had a very, very good plan for the Broncos, but Nathaniel Hackett, I mean, this guy, his best qualification is being related to Aaron Rodgers. It's just like Adam Gase and Peyton Manning. He's never coached before, and he doesn't know how to handle these situations. He doesn't know about the play clock operating system, the delay of game sort of deals, and he has Russell Wilson. It's all a honeymoon stage. You go to Seattle, which is a very young defense. They're starting a lot of rookies on defense, rookie corners. You can't even cook those cornerbacks, really. And, Russ looks okay, but, he wasn't perfect. He's still having trouble finding guys, and he's got to play better football. He really does. But Nathaniel Hackett, for him to trot out Brandon McManus from Alaska, from Siberia, instead of a 4th and 5, you have the clutchest quarterback maybe in the last 20 years, one of the clutchest quarterback, first ballot Hall of Famer. You pay the farm to get Russell Wilson, and you take the ball out of his hands for a 4th and 5, and you decide to kick the ball from 65 yards. Listen, it's much more of a decision if it's a 40-yard kick and you're going to take the lead. Then you do it, I believe. Then I think you do it the way your defense is playing. You take the lead, and then I think you have to do it, and then you have to see if your defense can stop Seattle from gaining 50 yards of offense, because you might not convert that 4th and 5. But that kick was such a low percentage. I mean, McManus, he could kick it far, but when you're kicking at 65 yards, like, even though these guys can kick huge field goals, it's on the road, and it's so tough to hit a 65-yarder. If you had, an inexperienced quarterback, like Nick Folk last year with Bill Belichick. But also, the Seattle still has a chance to even beat you. So if you go for the 4th and 5 and you make it, not only do you get closer in field goal range, you could kick it last play of the game, and then that'll be the last play of the game, and there'll be a closer field goal, higher likelihood of hitting that kick. So many delayed games. Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams fumbling the ball inside of the 2-yard line twice in the second half. Ridiculous. You lose the turnover battle you lose the turnover battle all day. Your defense doesn't get applies no pressure, no pass rush. And you couldn't guard the tight end play in the first half. Shane Waldron schooled you. So, man, oh man, what a disappointing loss for Denver. Seattle, they look a little bit better. But we'll have to see. I still think this is a young team. I definitely want to see more from the offense. Looked pretty good tonight, especially in the first half. Geno Smith was very accurate, very consistent in the first half. He looked very good for the majority of the game. He didn't turn the ball over, put it in harm's way. He did a lot to win the game tonight. And we're going to have to see next week. You got some momentum now, and you're playing a divisional opponent on the road, a team that I still believe is one of the best in the NFC. I still said Chargers, Niners, Super Bowl. So I'm expecting the Niners to bounce back with Trey Lance and beat Seattle. But it's a nice little win for Seattle right now. Yeah, I mean, listen, they got to take this win and hopefully build on it. It's good for the young guys. It's good for the psyche of the young guys. Now, Seattle could talk about, we're still looking for that signal caller of the future. Well, Geno played well tonight. You know, you can win with Geno Smith going 16 for 20 with no interceptions. You're going to win a lot of games that way when your quarterback has that high of a passer rating. And Geno looked very accurate tonight, and they really protected him, and Rashad Penny runs it. If Rashad Penny can run the ball, you can play balanced offense with Geno. It's just when the protection breaks down, that, of course, is when it's really going to be troublesome, or when you have to throw the ball. That's true for a lot of offenses, but a lot of offenses now are quarterback dependent, like Mahomes and the really special offenses in the NFL. But more week one takeaways ever than Nathaniel Hackett is, what coach is really going to be fired first? I think it's Cliff Kingsbury. Now, Kingsbury got an extended deal, so I don't know what Michael Bidwell's going to do, but he's screwed. He gave Kyler Murray all this money. Kyler Murray's an all-right quarterback, an average quarterback. He's 5'10", very, very average and getting worse every year. Now, without DeAndre Hopkins, you see who Kyler Murray is. He's average. He's not very good. That's what you see. You see that Kyler Murray is not that good. All right? Arizona, their defense is terrible. They're a top-heavy team. They're not a complete team. Vance Joseph isn't good anymore at defense. So the defense is terrible. The offense is barely average. You're starting James Conner and Eno Benjamin as your running backs. The offensive line, everything's soft. It's a soft team with a coach that wants to play the air raid offense that the NFL defenses have figured out. So Cliff Kingsbury's a one-trick pony. The one trick worked for 2 years. He has no counter to the one trick. He's going to be gone soon. It's going to be a disaster in Arizona. You know where else it's a disaster? Is also in the southwest of the United States. Go east a couple of states. Right to the big city of Dallas, Texas. CeeDee Lamb, he's the guy that, if you had a daughter, you would let CeeDee Lamb, date your daughter. But he isn't a number one wide receiver. He's the nicest guy in the world. He's not. Right now, he's not a Batman. He's a Robin. Listen, I love CeeDee Lamb. I wanted it to work since Oklahoma at this level, and Dallas was banking on him taking over for Amari Cooper. Now, I know it's just one game, and we won't get proof of CeeDee Lamb as the number one, now that Dak is awful injury again for Prescott. Thumb injury, out 6 weeks. Offense looked terrible. McCarthy looks old. Zeke Elliott is old. And if I were the Dallas Cowboys, honestly, this is what I would honestly want. If I'm the Cowboys, you look at Dak Prescott, you have him on that contract. I would look to trade him eventually to maybe a team that I'd trade him to Indianapolis because they need a quarterback. Like Matt Ryan's getting older. They need a long-term answer at the quarterback position. So so ironically, you had Wentz versus Prescott. You send Dak maybe to Indy, and you completely implode on the season. You sit for a horrible season. You get rid of the general manager, Stephen Jones, takes a back seat. You put in whole new people in football operations. You maybe even bring in, Kellen Moore as maybe your offensive coordinator. I'm trying to think of a guy that could really be, the next head coach. I think Liam Cohen in Dallas would make a ton of sense, the Rams offensive coordinator, because everybody from LA that you touch is going to be gold. Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur, Liam Cohen's the next one. He went to Kentucky and did a fantastic job. So you got to have a modernized scheme. I actually think Mike Kafka can be great. He took the Giants offense and Daniel Jones. He makes the most of it. They have great outside zone run scheme. That's what you do. You got to go outside zone where you go from the shotgun and you're able to play, really physical football where you're able to run the ball and your quarterback's able to run it too. And that's why you can maybe draft Anthony Richardson and he can maybe operate that offense. And Anthony Richardson can throw the ball accurately, but you just honestly, you get rid of people. And then if you have a mobile quarterback, your line can suck. So the Cowboys line sucks. So they can go with C.J. Stroud. You could go with a really good pocket passer and I guess kind of build that way. But if you have a mobile quarterback, it does open you up to, really good run schemes. Now, actually, Stroud can move a bit, so Stroud's the number one guy. But if it's between Bryce Young behind that offensive line or Anthony Richardson, you take Richardson because Anthony Richardson in a 6-year span, he's going to be awesome. He could be a guy that's talked about as an MVP candidate in the right system where, he's throwing the ball a little bit. It's a little like, Fields, a little bit like maybe Jalen Hurts, where very elusive on the ground and then throwing the ball very accurate. And that's what Richardson could probably bring. I just totally blow up this front office structure with Steven. You tell Steven to go back into the football operations. And that's what I do if I'm Jerry. I revamp, I get younger, I get faster on defense, I fire sale a lot of those guys. Even Diggs isn't that good. I mean, he gets a lot of interceptions, but you get rid of Dan Quinn, honestly. That defense is tiresome. And you get really modernized coaches, and then you go to this really fast scheme with Anthony Richardson. You then get your running backs, and you just pound the football and have a mobile quarterback and have so many answers when you have that mobile quarterback. You look at, the offense is now in the NFL. What I realize is they play like this offensive formation where what you're seeing in the league now is you have fullbacks or you have these hybrid tight ends that are located in the backfield. So you can it's a little bit like the wing T where you can hand the ball to them or the quarterback can keep it. And also that guy can be in for protection. So sometimes you'll have, quarterback in the pistol, maybe running back behind the quarterback, and then you'll have not a fullback, but maybe somebody else that can then block, that can then rotate across the formation so you can get easy dump off passes. That's what you do. You leak your tight ends out to the flat. Your quarterback is mobile, gets to the flat, and then can just throw over the top. And with Anthony Richardson, he's capable of doing that. So this is a very, very good quarterback class. Will Levis is fine. I don't think he's as good of a runner though as Richardson. He's a pretty strong guy though, strong kid, but I mean, he's not as dynamic as Richardson. And then Peyton Thorne's a very accurate passer in this class. Spencer Rattler is also a decent quarterback. I think Rattler can be better than Carson Wentz, at the NFL level too. You get Rattler some protection, and he's going to make a lot of big plays for you. But really looking at the NFL this week, the Houston Texans just don't know how to win. They don't know how to run clock. Terrible drives at the end. Davis Mills, nobody could get the job done. It was awful. You're up 20-3. Good teams win that game. Atlanta, I'm really impressed with Atlanta and Marcus Mariota. I think he looks spry. I think the arm strength looks better. I think that he's, again, conditioned himself well for the season. He's running the football strong. Cordell Patterson for 31 looks amazing. He looks so shifty. You just pray for his health and you pray for Mariota's health. If those guys stay healthy with Kyle Pitts and Drake London, this offensive line, the scheme that are for runs, is going to help out these young linemen. This offense can move the ball a little bit. Now, in the secondary, the Falcons thought their secondary was very good, and they got torched late yesterday. So Dean Pease is an older guy. Is Dean Pease going to be able to continue to motivate the defense to play 4 quarters? There's some older coaches that are great coaches. Is Dean Pease going to be one of those guys that can be consistent and that can help the defense really finish a game? Is that what's going to happen with Dean Pease? Because that was so infuriatingly frustrating. So you had Carson Wentz versus the Jags. Both offenses and teams are terrible. The Washington team is horrible, and the Redskins or the Commanders, whichever one you call them, they are terrible. And then the Jaguars are just as bad. I mean, the Jaguars find ways to lose. So a good Jaguars team finds a way to go down there and win that game. Carolina looks all right. Their defense is fine, like I expected. Baker Mayfield just really struggled throughout the entirety of the game yesterday. Made a couple of plays late, but couldn't convert. So Baker, I'm a little worried about. Baker, he played all right. He made a bad interception in the first half, was sloppy, but he came back in the second half, showed some talent, hit Robbie Anderson. There is talent in Baker Mayfield. He's better than Carson Wentz. He even looked better than Tua and Mac Jones. Mac Jones was not moving well. He was hit a lot. That offense was a mess, as a big of a mess as advertised. And for Bill Belichick, you're supposed to be the greatest coach in all of football. You got to continue to adapt and get better as offenses continue to get more modernized. Because right now with Judge and Patricia, it's just running it right into the middle of the line. Now, Ramondre Stevenson had a couple decent outside runs. It's not like you have the best personnel in the world, and the Patriots want to play, games in the 20s anyway. They want to play ball control, and their defense, when it gets cold out, that's a huge advantage. When you get to November is when the Patriots season starts. But with Mac Jones now dealing with a back spasms, he's going to have to play against Pittsburgh. They're going to have to win that game. If they win that game, they keep the train rolling. It's a long season. Miami looks all right. Tua, an exciting play to Jalen Waddle, but Tua still, will one-hop throws and still have weak throws from the pocket, still does not pop that arm strength, and still at times looks very shaky with the ball and puts it in the harm's way. So him going up to Baltimore, they play that aggressive defense there. That could be a really ugly game for Tagovailoa. Like, I would actually start the Ravens defense in fantasy. I don't think that that's a good matchup for what I saw from Tua in that offense. Tyreek Hill looks nice. Waddle, I really like the coach there, McDaniel, but boy, oh boy, does Tua look shaky. He does not look very good. He's going to have to show out against the Baltimore Ravens if we're really going to see a lot from Tua Tagovailoa. Mac Jones, I kind of know who Mac is more. I think Mac with this offense is going to get a little better and better. I know that he's dealing with injuries and the O-line wasn't protecting him, but Harris and Stevenson still had some good runs against a great Dolphins defense that was really ready to roll, and it was hot there in Miami, so it wasn't their environment. So the Patriots, they play Cincinnati. Like, if they get through September and they're still in the mix, they're going to start to fire on all cylinders somewhere along the way. They're going to hit their running game, and when they play these one-possession games with Mac Jones, they're going to bleed clock, and as long as Mac can kind of stay healthy and get through it, they're going to be there at the end, I think. So I'm not hitting the panic button on the Patriots at all. I'm not hitting the panic button on Green Bay. The team I'm hitting the panic button on is obviously the Cowboys without Dak. It's the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not hitting panic on 49ers whatsoever and Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance can still have a great, spectacular year and still be in the MVP conversation. That was a monsoon out there in Chicago, so it just was a bad deal. I think Detroit looks all right. Like, offensively, Ben Johnson, they should really beat Washington. Absolutely need to win this game against Washington. It is the most winnable game Detroit's going to have. If they can't beat the Redskins this week, they are just going to be, it's so embarrassing for Dan Campbell. They got to take this step and beat Washington and beat them badly, beat the football team badly by 2 scores. They have the ability to do that because now Swift at least is running the rock. At least you have Amon-Ra St. Brown playing well. Jared played decently other than the interception. He still put up points and played well. So you look at quarterbacks now in the NFL, and I know that we had Rodgers kind of struggle, but even the middle-tier quarterbacks in the NFL, like Tannehill was just Wentz, Baker Mayfield was out there, who was all right. Like, what quarterbacks? Like, Derek Carr made some mistakes, too. Jameis was just, he's just all right. He makes a lot of, ill-advised throws. Same with Winston and Lawrence are very, very similar. I don't think that Fields looked very good either. Mac and Tua, Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco. I mean, Lamar Jackson actually showed out, so Lamar Jackson could probably be that guy. But even I would take Herbert over Burrow. Burrow was tremendous in the playoffs, but I kind of saw that as like a really one shining moment deal where I really can't see the Bengals in this AFC like really getting deep and competing again. I mean, maybe because the weapons are so good, like Burrow's still all right. Burrow is still probably top 7, top 8 quarterbacks, but then you have Russell Wilson, who, is really struggling. You had Dak have a terrible game, and just there's so many inconsistent quarterbacks, like outside of Josh Allen, outside of Mahomes, outside of Justin Herbert. There is, who else I'm missing one. I guess Aaron Rodgers. I still would put Aaron Rodgers still in that list of money because he just had one really rough week. But it's pretty much Allen, Mahomes, and Herbert's league. And then Burrow sometimes can sneak into there. Sometimes Lamar Jackson can. Deshaun Watson I rank him outside of that elite category. He's in the very good category. Maybe I'm missing somebody. But I believe like Jalen Hurts, Marcus Mariota, Jared Goff, Jared Goff's also like risen. Same with Mariota. They've risen to the middle of the NFL. They've taken big leaps. Like the Falcons look like a really legit team this year. The Falcons should get after Tom Brady. All right, the Saints, their defense should absolutely get after Brady. He's old, so there's more chances now in the NFL than ever. Now that Brady's kind of out of the league, and now that Rodgers is going to be out of the league, and now that Mahomes and Allen have all this money and play in the same conference, there's going to be a lot of fluidity. Like the bottom of the league is a little bit better. The Texans look a little bit better. Who are teams that people thought would really struggle? I mean, Seattle's still probably going to struggle. I think Washington and the Jags look terrible. I think Chicago still has a lot to worry about, but Chicago played well, so we can't get on them that early, but I still don't think Chicago's going to be that good. Now, Minnesota made a statement. They won one game, but I'm still taking Green Bay to win that division. I am. I'm still taking Green Bay to finish that job. I'm still taking Aaron Rodgers. I'm not overreacting to 1 week. And I want to see Minnesota run the ball, and I want to see them win against other teams. But Kwesi Adolphe-Mensah is brilliant. He's brilliant in everything he does. He can go to Princeton. He can be an A student there. He can go dominate, in Wall Street. He can go out to San Francisco and dominate in the financial and the tech circles. The guy's one of the most brilliant people in the country and the world. He can honestly, become a world leader someday. He's that brilliant. And what he's doing in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell coaching for the first time, I mean, KOC's done an absolutely brilliant job putting this together. Mike McDaniel has done a really nice job. So the first-year coaches, it certainly was very interesting. I'm trying to figure out who else was, coaching again. Well, we had Todd, we had Lovey, Smith back at it, both of them. And Lovey actually did a really good job. They just couldn't finish the dang game. They couldn't finish the deal. Doug Peterson, rough situation, tough. The team is just so far away from really being competitive. Like even Nick Caserio and Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot have taken their teams to like that level. And even Pete Carroll knows how to like put together a team quickly on defense and hire smart people. And so the NFL, I mean, it's all about, now you see with the Giants, it's all about the zone running scheme because there's not a whole lot of good linemen. There's a couple of good running backs. There's a ton of good receivers in the NFL that you can find. It's all about like stretching the ball, like running the ball either with that fullback from the pistol set or running the ball horizontally. You run the ball horizontally, you let your guards follow, and then you cut through the hole. And that's what Saquon does because with Jason Garrett, he'd run Saquon right up the middle. That's misutilizing his talents. That's like telling Yao Ming to go become a jump shooter instead of a guy who plays in the paint. And now they're getting back to what Saquon does best, which is running and gunning, giving him his weapons, giving him options on the perimeter. He can either take it inside, take it outside. He's playing now with instinct, all right? And that's what this whole outside zone running scheme is. It comes from Shanahan, McVay, and people a lot brighter than I'll probably ever be. And the New York Giants now are operating out of this system. The Eagles operated out of it with Miles Sanders. All the good teams are running this style offense. Even the Patriots are trying to run it too. It's a copycat league. I've seen Shane Waldron use the jumbo set as well. There must have been a clinic done. I mean, I think Greg Roman might have been using it with Lamar Jackson at first, but really the modernized offenses, you can tell. You can look at what offenses are modern. They never pull in the NFL. They never line up under center. So guards and tackles never pull because the D-line is too good. And on 4th and 1, you're always running to the perimeter. You're never running in the middle of a defense anymore. Nothing is carved out of the middle of the field anymore. You probably got to get to November when these guys' bodies are banged up. When the big guys are like more banged up, you probably have to get to November in a cold weather game for you to have ability and friction in the run game in the middle of the offense. But you probably got to utilize the run game to the edges. Really, in the month of September, these guys are all healthy, and these guys are just such incredible athletes on the defensive side of the ball. It's just so hard to run it in the middle of the field now. You got to run it outside and gash outside in. And that is almost like the NBA with the three-point shot is like this with the outside zone running scheme. So you guys have to watch that. It's like the quarterback takes the ball from the shotgun, tilts to his left, hands the ball off. The running back, instead of hitting the hole straight, he goes horizontal, reads the guards and tackles, and reads where the hole will be. And it's up to linebackers to fill that gap really quickly. And if you're not gap sound, it could be 70 quickly. Just like Saquon Barkley was doing in the Tennessee game as well. So it's all about conditioning and all this stuff, and the Giants finally have, modernized conditioning, modernized offense. The Giants actually got with the program in terms of what they were supposed to do, and that's why they got their win. Daniel Jones is being put in a position, throwing it 18 times. That's what you got to do with him. He's got to be a little bit like Geno is in Seattle, like throw him 20 times a game. All right, and hit the high percentage stuff. You don't need the quarterback to be the absolute rock star. You let Saquon, you let the receivers go and get it. Quarterback just runs the show, and yeah, he can have some really nice plays. But get Daniel playing a little bit of structure, get him utilizing the pocket well, and Giants played a cleaner game. It'll be a nice test against Baker Mayfield and the Panthers. You'll see how McAdoo will do coming back to MetLife. Man, that game is going to be a really fun game to watch. All right, guys, so those are my opinions from week 1. Like Tua, like what teams were really special. It was probably Justin Jefferson and the Vikings. That were the really special teams. I think Atlanta looked better. Houston actually looks like a team that can really compete in the AFC South. Yeah, I think Houston can compete with Mills and Dameon Pierce. So I think Houston's done a great job. I think Atlanta's really propelled themselves forward. Detroit, I'm still kind of waiting to see. The Vikings are in a really nice spot. And then teams that are moving backwards, I really think it's Dallas and Arizona right now are the two teams. The Rams and the Niners I'm not worried about. The Packers I'm not worried about. So I'm not worried about a lot of these teams. But again, every week we find out something new, right? So we'll predict week 2, the lines, everything. But I wanted to just get all my thoughts right now out on this 30-minute video on just brutal clock management by Nathaniel Hackett and everything that happened in the NFL in week 1. What a crazy Bengals-Steelers game, by the way. Crazy. Falcons, Saints, back and forth comebacks, Colts. Craziness. Oh, yeah. You forget stuff. The Chargers. Chargers look like the best team in the league, like I said. They handled the Raiders. That will be fun on Thursday. I think it will be.